Assange NY, Assange Countdown to Freedom.
Hello everybody, we're about to get started. Thank you for your patience.
Socialist Action
We're just waiting for some of these speakers to arrive, but I guess they'll speak when they get here. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Chuck Zlatkin. I'm with NYC Free Assange, and I'll be functioning as the moderator for today. A little bit about how I got involved with this. I mean, I would say that I'm new to this issue because I got involved in 2019, but to some people that seems like a long time ago. Actually, what happened is I was listening to Randy Credico's show on WBAI, and he was doing programs about Julian Assange. So I figured at that point, well, I've got to find the New York group, you know, and work with them. But then Bernadette Evangelist and a few other people, we realized there wasn't a New York group, so we better start one. And that's what we did. And for years, every week we were out there in the streets, tabling and programming, protesting for Assange. We did it in front of the UK Consulate, where we are today, for a while. We did it in front of the New York Times. At that point, they had done nothing on behalf of Assange, and then we ended up inside the Grand Central Terminal, and then we were hit with COVID like everybody else, which, you know, put somewhat of a stop to the outdoor activities, but we've been still, you know, active online, holding events, getting to people to speak out, and for whatever reason, you know, people have been organizing a long time, you know, it always takes work to get something together to organize for a cause. But somehow for Julian Assange, it was really difficult. The narrative they had gotten out there about, you know, something being wrong with him or him not being a righteous individual or whatever was really, it worked. It took a long time to get people out there. Initially, you know, when we were out there for Assange, people would come up yelling and screaming at us, and they really didn't even know why. It was like all emotional reactions. They saw, you know, free Assange, and they went nuts. I knew that things were getting better because after a while, the middle finger that we were getting was then a thumbs up. You know, it was like I realized that we were making some kind of progress. So, you know, we're out there and we're still optimistic. You know, I still believe this is going to be it. This is going to be the last time we're going to have to do it because they're going to free Julian Assange. You know, what an outrage that he has had to suffer what he's been doing. So, at this point, I'd like to introduce our first speaker of the day. And she's been with us before, and a real advocate for Julian Assange. She's a journalist, author, activist, executive editor of Black Agenda Report, the Black Agenda Report radio program. Let's hear it from Margaret Kimberly.
Good afternoon, and power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. The late Glenn Ford taught me to always begin remarks with those words. I want to thank the organizers, thank Chuck Zlatkin and others for once again bringing us all together and for inviting me to participate. I'm always ready to defend Julian Assange. I am a proud contributor of the book In Defense of Julian Assange, or books published. If you haven't read it, you should. And I think Chuck made reference to the initial negative reactions to any defense of Assange. And that's because of the war propaganda that was waged against him. We were told that Donald Trump won because of Julian Assange, that he was working with Russia, and they hacked the emails from the Democratic National Committee, none of which is true. Those materials were leaked to Julian Assange. There is ample evidence that that is the case. But in any case, what is so wonderful about the Democratic Party? It is Barack Obama, after all, who began the process of prosecuting whistleblowers using the Espionage Act. The Espionage Act goes back to the days of Woodrow Wilson, the Palmer raids. No one, no president speaking in New York City, no president used the Espionage Act as much as Obama. If you combined all the presidents before him, none of them used the Espionage Act like Obama did. Now, they chose not to touch Assange, not to try to prosecute him, to allow him to languish in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, but Donald Trump decided to get him. And how did they get him? They interfered in the domestic activities of the nation of Ecuador. Ecuador had given him asylum, and that meant they needed a new government in Ecuador. So the Trump administration set out to do what the U.S. has done many times, to interfere in Ecuador's electoral politics and get different people in office who would give Assange up. Now, what are we told about Donald Trump? Well, we shouldn't be surprised, right? Because he's the worst president, and he's a fascist, and he's a dictator, and on and on and on. But he's not the president now. Joe Biden is the president now, allegedly better than Donald Trump, allegedly the person who's defending democracy and without whom we'll have fascism. But Biden, as in other ways, is following Donald Trump in prosecuting Julian Assange. So I ask again, are Democrats so much better? These efforts are bipartisan. War is bipartisan. Support for Israel is bipartisan. Support for continuing the war in Ukraine is bipartisan. And that is why they hate Julian Assange, because he reveals all of these things to us. They don't want us to know. And when I say they, I mean the state. I mean their friends in corporate media who at one point would work with Assange, but when they were told to stop and turn on him, that's exactly what they did. Now, he barely gets a mention, even as he's fighting against extradition to the U.S. And I want to say something else about Assange, just very briefly. He was never charged with rape. He was never charged. The Swedes never charged him. The U.S. and the U.K. told them not to move the case along, not to free him, not to drop the charges, to keep him from having freedom of movement. Because he tells us what they do. He tells us what governments do. The WikiLeaks cables, that video footage from Iraq showing the murder of a journalist. And that makes the silence of journalists all the more disgraceful. That Reuters journalists were killed by the United States in Iraq, that there was video evidence, and now you can't pay so-called journalists enough money to tell us, to show any solidarity with one of their colleagues. They do what the state tells them to do. And that is why you hear so little about Assange now. And that's why it's so important for all of us to be here today, so that we don't allow him to be disappeared worse than he already has been, disappeared into Belmarsh prison. And I want to say what awaits him should the UK do. It's not clear what the US wants, if they want him to just stay in jail forever or if they want to bring him here. But he would end up in the Eastern District of Virginia, where he was indicted. That is a hanging court. No one is acquitted. Everyone's convicted. And the penalties are harsh. The sentences are draconian. The U.S. has the most draconian sentences of any country in the world, by the way. Of course, it's the biggest jailer in the world. That's not surprising. So he cannot get a fair shake here. So we must mobilize to keep Julian Assange from being extradited to the U.S. and to free him from Belmarsh prison. He is a political prisoner. And all decent people who believe in peace, who believe in freedom of the press, who truly believe in democracy, must fight to free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange and power to the people. Thank you.
Free Julian Assange! 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 Free Julian Assange!
Okay, let's hear it again from Margaret Kimberly. She's been here with us before and does a great job as a true advocate for Julian Assange. Also someone who's been here before with us, and he's back again. He's a writer and editor of Haiti Liberté, Kim Ives.
Thank you, Chuck. Well, we have come to the moment of truth for the champion of truth. Julian Assange, the most important journalist of our lifetime, now stands about to be put to death. That is what his wife has said. Stella has said he will die, not might die, he will die if his appeal is not granted. She has called his state extremely grave. And while the mainstream press froths and speculates about the death of the completely marginal politician Alexei Navalny in Russia, not a word is said about Julian Assange and the ordeal, the precariousness, the torture that he's been subjected to. Julian and WikiLeaks first contacted us at Haiti Liberté in 2011. They said they wanted to give us 2,000 secret cables, secret State Department cables, that were part of the 250,000 secret cables that they had received in the WikiLeaks event known as Cablegate. We were very honored, very pleased to become one of their first journalistic partners. We had watched how they had given the cables to The Guardian, The New York Times, Der Spiegel, Le Monde, and those papers, those mainstream outlets had done virtually nothing with them. Virtually nothing. So that's when they said, we have to go to the countries where these cables come from and have their press review it. And that's what we did. We partnered with The Nation magazine so that our articles would get more reach. and would be more visible. And it ended up being one of the most successful, and I'm pleased to say one of the most effective series of articles done with the Cablegate documents. We did close to 60 articles in French and English on all manner of subjects. The WikiLeaks cables helped us prove how Washington tried to torpedo Haiti's Petro-Caribe deal with Venezuela, how they blocked a minimum wage hike to $5 an hour, $5 a day, and they won $3 a day instead. How they rubber stamped and paid for an election they knew was flawed from the start. How they tried to block President Jean-Bertrand Aristide's return from exile for 7 years from South Africa, and how they tried to turn humanitarian relief after the 2010 earthquake into a quote-unquote gold rush, according to one U.S. ambassador. All these things, we can say, thanks to WikiLeaks, helped change Haitian history by revealing the crimes, sabotage, corruption, and double dealing of the U.S. in Haiti. Truth, undeniable evidence is the gift Julian Assange and WikiLeaks gave not only to Haiti, but to the world, to all humanity. And this is why he must be punished, silenced, tortured, even killed, unless we stop them. The empire is collapsing. Its bankruptcy and criminality are more evident with every passing day. WikiLeaks has played an historic role in contributing to this collapse and to Haiti's national liberation struggle, indeed to the planet's liberation from the grips of US and European imperialism. The fate of press freedom is in our hands. We must free Julian Assange from the clutches of the US Anglo-Axis, which holds and torments him in a jail cell for the crime of doing real journalism. Free Julian Assange, long live WikiLeaks, long live truth.
Let's say thank you. You may not have heard him before, but now you know who he is. Let's hear it for Kim Ives. And thank you all for being here today. Our next person at the microphone is somebody who you all know, somebody that we appreciate her talents as an actress, or actor, I should say. What century am I in? And also her activism, and she's a hero of mine. Let's welcome Susan Sarandon.
I'm not really a speaker, but I want to be here today because this is so important to me and my kids and their kids and this whole nation. The speakers before me have been so articulate and specific and have laid it out. There's nothing more to add to that. Julian Assange is being persecuted and prosecuted because he's telling the truth. It's that simple. It's an embarrassing truth. It's a dangerous truth. It's a truth that challenges the narrative in many situations. And it's dangerous for us to know that the freedom of the press, and especially when you see how quiet the press is, who didn't have a problem publishing a lot of these revelations, and now they are completely silent. This tells me that we're in very sad shape in this country when you can't have freedom of the press. We see this In other situations, obviously in Palestine, what's happening right now, in terms of how people get their news, how they make their decisions in voting, how they make all their decisions, how they grow their prejudices, how they find their heroes. When you're getting a limited, very slanted view of what's going on in the world, it's impossible to make good decisions. And this is, I mean, Julian isn't even a citizen of the United States. You know, where's Australia in all of this? But people are so afraid of challenging the status quo because it does cost, and we've seen how much it is costing him and his family. So I thank everyone for being here and for getting out the word and continuing to try to keep this in the press and trying to keep people aware of what's going on right now in court. Free Julian.
Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange!
Julian Assange. Okay, well, let's hear it again for Susan Sarandon for coming here today. Our next speaker is a civil rights attorney who worked with WikiLeaks, Julian Assange and Sarah Harrison, Margaret Consulate.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here, although I wish it were under different circumstances. But I recognize a lot of faces and a lot of friends, and it's good to be here with you on this day. You know, this is a very, very difficult time for all of us and for the United States. And people in this country do not realize this. It's really a question here, not only about press rights, but about the rights to function in a society that is controlled in terms of its human rights abuses. The human rights abuses are not only controlled in the press, but they're also controlled in the courts. And right now, we're looking forward to Julian being extradited to the United States. And I can tell you, as a lawyer, what is going to happen here in terms of a trial that might take place and why it is such a dangerous situation. And the situation here is so dangerous. People do not understand. For example, if the government puts on a case against Julian Assange and says, Julian did this, and then he did this, and then he did this, and Julian wants to defend against any of these things, they will stop him and say, you can't do this because this violates secrecy. Now, how can that possibly happen? You wonder. But they can say whatever they want, right? And Julian comes back and tries to put on a defense, and they say, oh no, that's a state secrecy privilege, and you're not allowed to introduce that, and we're not allowed, you won't hear about, if he wants to put on that, for example, that the CIA put up UC Global to listen to everything he said and interfere with all, and learn about everything he was going to do, and learn about his conferences with his attorneys. Well, he can't do that. Because, and I can tell you that we've already learned that, because we have a case here in the U.S. of journalists who were surveilled when they went in to visit Assange, and knew, now we know because of different press releases, that everything that happened in the embassy while Julian was there was recorded. It not only was recorded, it was recorded both visually and orally, and also sent immediately to the U.S. We know this, but how do we prove this? Because any attempt to prove this runs into the state secrecy doctrine. So not only has secrecy destroyed the ability to reveal what Julian has wanted to reveal and punished him for revealing human rights abuses, but when we get into the courtroom, it's going to continue, and we are still not going to be able to put forward human rights abuses. So we really are in the midst of a terrible battle. It's a battle between the CIA and the suppression of truth of human rights abuses. It's across the board, and nobody seems to understand that if we can't reveal the abuses of the CIA, and it's not just the CIA. We say CIA because that's the definition of the agency. It's the name of the agency under which all of this occurs. It's not that it wouldn't occur without it, but in this country now, you can't have a police agency do that because the police agency might be subject to discovery. The CIA is protected. We figured out how to protect the CIA from any information, anything they do. And really, anything we have found out about the CIA, I mean, there's a long history of CIA activities and human rights abuses. And if we can't find out about it in real time, and we have to wait for history to reveal that the CIA was in fact responsible for the murder of scores of leaders of countries around the world, and putting up, I mean, we all are totally aware of the abuses that the CIA has committed over its existence. And again, it's not the CIA, it's what this government has done secretly all around the world to control the international image of itself. So we're really in trouble. And if Julian is not successful in quashing this extradition treaty, then we're going to have it here, and it's going to be much worse. So get ready. If we lose this battle, we've lost every battle. Thank you.
Free Julian Assange! 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 Free Julian Assange!
Okay, let's give another round of applause for Margaret Kunstler and thank her for being here today and all that she's doing for us and the movement. And then, so the truck behind me, the two trucks behind me that you can see that have been going around in the streets of Washington, D.C. and now here in New York City with the idea of and put together and organized by and ridden by Randy Credico. And Randy Credico, who you can hear him every Friday at 3 p.m. on WBAI, and is it Mondays at 10 a.m. on PRN?
Yeah.
He's here to say a few words. Let's hear it from Randy Credico.
I'm not really here to say a few words. I just stopped by. I didn't come here to say a few words. I'm a man of few words. Scram! All right. Thank you all for coming in today, coming down. This is very important that we get as many people on the street as many days as possible, any way you can do it. You know, I have a podcast, a radio show, and I'm preaching to the choir. And we need not the choir to see it, but these people on the streets, the people in the cars, people that don't know about Julian Assange and the persecution. They need to know about it because I know I'm not reaching them at WBAI. They're not listening. So that's why I'm here today. That's why we've been driving from Washington Heights all the way to Battery Park City and back up and back down in front of this satellite state of the U.S. Consulate, the UK, which is nothing more than a satellite state of the U.S. That's it. It may as well be Puerto Rico here right now because they have no independence and I don't expect them to do anything good in this case. We're not here to beg the UK for mercy and for justice for Julian Assange. It's they who should be begging for mercy from Julian Assange and for an apology to him and his family for what they've done to him for the past 12 years. They've done it at the behest of the US. They are not independent. They have a 500-year reign of terror on this planet, and it continues today. Anyone who thinks this represents some kind of democratic country and they're expecting the Magna Carta to shine through today and tomorrow, well, you live on a different planet, because it doesn't. They do what we tell them to do. And we're asking them today to show some self-respect and a little bit of independence and say no to your masters in Washington and let Julian Assange free right away, compensate him, and let him return to his family. I can't follow that, man. I got applause. So anyway, everyone's been a great speaker today. You heard a lot. There's nothing else I can add to it. Only to get out on the streets as much as possible. Whether you're passing out flyers, but be in people's faces. As Roger Waters said, and John Pilger said, make noise. Make a lot of fucking noise from this point forward. It's really critical. Thank you, everybody.
Free Julian Assange! 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 Free Julian Assange!
All right. Yes. Okay, everybody. What you want? You have to say something else?
I'd like to redo that. No.
The man who a few words. Anyway, let's hear it for Randy Credico and all that he's done for this movement for Julian Assange. Thank you. And speaking of people who do a lot, here's somebody who's been a long-time warrior for peace and involved in all kinds of movements, from Stand With Assange and Socialist Action. Let's hear it from Marty Goodman.
Marty, it's a little too tall. Love you, Marty. Thank you. Love you back. Thank you. Got it? Yeah. Just the 5'2" guy. All right. It gets worse every year. All right. All right. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange.
Ceasefire in the Middle East.
Ceasefire in the Middle East.
It's all one struggle. And it's Julian Assange who exposed Israel and its insane, barbaric war on Palestine and Gaza. Thank you, Julian Assange.
Thank you, Julian Assange.
Julian Assange helped the people of Haiti. We had a reporter on Haiti, Kim Ives, who exposed the absolutely corrupt and depraved attempt on the CIA, and Bill and Hillary Clinton as well. Check into that, to keep the minimum wage down in Haiti. In Haiti, of all places. And they were making $5 a day, and maybe it's even less than that now. Thanks to Bill Clinton, Hillary, and the CIA, and our imposed dictators in Haiti. But thanks to people like Julian Assange, we're able to mobilize, and the Haitian people get a glimmer of the truth. And of course, the CIA organized 2 military coups in Haiti against the democratically elected Father Bertrand Aristide. And if it wasn't for organizations like Julian Assange's WikiLeaks the world would not know the true role of the CIA and its corrupt apparatus around the world. And now we're being kept blind about what's going on in Gaza by a corrupt media that refuses to tell the truth. It only gets the corporate talking heads to tell us what's going on there. And that's why we need people like Julian Assange and you people out here mobilizing in defense of freedom of the press and free speech, that we owe a lot of gratitude to Julian Assange and our movement that needs to grow in the streets. I'm not into politicians. I don't support the Democrats. I don't care who the hell they are or what they call themselves. The Democrats and the Republicans are one party, the party of big business and capital, conducting a war of extermination in Gaza. And they want to exterminate Julian Assange and destroy his family. Well, we're not going to let them get away with any of that stuff. We are going to stay in the streets. We are going to stay mobilized and angry as hell that all the bloodshed in the world is going on because of the guy in the White House and all his backers on Wall Street downtown. It's all the same. It's all the same. Biden, a friend of the working class, he tells us, oh, bullshit. Any of you guys, bullshit. I'm a union guy. The executive board of the TWU, Local 100, the bus and train workers here in New York. And if I had my way, we would shut the damn city down for what's happening with Assange and the criminality in Gaza by U.S. weapons paid by us, the taxpayer, looted from our paychecks every week. I see Chuck's ready to shut me down, okay? So I'm going to let myself go. I want you to stick around a little bit. Listen to some other great speakers. We've had great speakers already. Fantastic, they really ran down the issues. We say, no more bullshit. Free Julian Assange. Free him now. Thank you.
Free Julian Assange! 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 Free Julian Assange!
Okay, let's hear it again from Marty Goodman. And Marty shouldn't be too upset with me for shutting him down, because we have another speaker from Stand With Assange, New York, Patricia Dahl.
Hey, Patricia, let me have it.
Hi, everyone. As we go forward from today, I think the most important thing that we can remember is that Julian's prosecution is a political affair, and it has been from the very beginning. Let's remember, in 2010, Republican Senator Mitch McConnell said Julian Assange must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And if that becomes a problem, we need to change the laws. Within days, Obama's Attorney General Eric Holder said the same thing when he admitted in a press conference that the Espionage Act would play a role in the prosecution, along with other statutes he left unspecified. He said, if there are gaps in our laws, we will close those gaps. These are not men who are following the rule of law. They are making it up as they go along. Let's remember also, in 2008, the Pentagon, there was a leak, and we know of it only because of WikiLeaks. It was revealed that they had a secret plan to shut WikiLeaks down by various means at their disposal. That was before the material was published by WikiLeaks on which Julian would be criminalized. This is not a legal matter. It is a political matter. As I was leaving my apartment this morning, I tuned into Consortium News's feed. And happening right now as we gather here, the judge in the UK, Julian's lawyer, Edward Fitzgerald, was arguing that Julian cannot be extradited because of the Extradition Act. Now, we know that he can't be extradited because of the extradition treaty. The U.S. is arguing that the treaty is obsolete. It's been replaced by the UK Extradition Act, which has dropped the political offense provision. And Julian's lawyers were arguing that he is still covered because he stands to be prejudiced for his political views. The judge, this very morning, as we gather here, asked the lawyer, where can I find information on this new point? And Fitzgerald said, it's on the opening pages of the application, the appeal application. It was on the opening pages of the appeal application that Jonathan Swift rejected. It was debated in the magistrate's court in the very beginning. These are judges who are judging Julian's life, and they don't know their own laws that were passed in Parliament. This is what we are looking at as we go forward. As Margaret said and Randy said, if we do not win this one, it is over. So I personally want to thank everybody here. I know we are all anxious of what is going to happen in the UK. And it would be so easy to stay home in our pajamas, at our computers, and pay attention to what is happening. And I want to thank everybody here for coming down here, bringing your presence, your faces to be recognized by the authorities, your bodies to be counted for Julian. Let's go forward for him. Thank you all very much.
Free Julian Assange! 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 Free Julian Assange!
Okay, let's hear it again for Patricia Dahl. And now here's an extra special speaker that we're happy showed up to say a few words. I certainly am a big fan of her and shows, and if I remember her name, I'll be in good shape. Katie Halper.
You got starstruck, I'm sure. Speechless, right? No, I'm just kidding. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming out. I just want to say that the other day, people probably know because the media has been talking about this nonstop, Navalny died. And people are praising him as a Russian Nelson Mandela. And I just wanted to share. Now, I don't believe that people who I disagree with should be killed, okay? That's what makes me different from the people who don't support Julian Assange. But I just want to share some words with you. These are not words from Julian Assange. We've done that before, but I'm going to share some words with you from Navalny. This is from a video that he made where he is at a table and he's swatting insects. And it says, hello, today we talk about insect control. No house is safe from cockroach infestation. And it shows a disgusting bug. Ew, or a fly gets in through an open window. Another disgusting bug. We all know the cure against flies, a fly swatter, a slipper against a roach. But what to do if cockroaches are too big and flies too aggressive? And then you hear a gunshot, and he is holding a gun. And you see, in such case, I recommend a handgun, he says. And then you see men who are Muslim, and this is what he wanted to do to Muslims. And this is a hero, according to our government and our media. No one ever mentions this part of him. So I'm bringing this up because obviously our media and our government have an agenda, and that agenda is not a pro-free speech agenda, it's not a pro-freedom of press agenda, and it's not a pro-freedom at all agenda. And Biden said that Putin is responsible for Navalny's death. And if that's true, we're going to remember this if anything happens to Assange. Because if that's true, obviously, Biden is responsible for anything that happens to Assange. And he's already responsible for his being locked up, and he's already responsible for his having a stroke, and he's already responsible for what the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture, not a rando, but the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture has determined to be torture. So Biden has a lot of blood on his hands. He's a renaissance man of blood on his hands. He has it over Assange, he has it over Gaza, he has it over Ukraine. I guess he deserves credit. He should run on that platform. If he runs on a bloody hands platform, maybe he can actually win in 2024. So a little free tip for you, Biden. But this is embarrassing. This is a dark day. And again, I'm calling on Biden to not side with Donald Trump. This is a man who ran against Trump, declaring himself a moral alternative, and yet he's siding with Trump on many of the things that he's siding on Trump with, is his treatment of Julian Assange. So long live, or let's start having it live, because it doesn't live right now. I was going to say long live a free press. Let's make a free press. Free Julian Assange, no U.S. extradition, and be on the right side of history so that you can tell your kids and grandkids where you were at this moment. And you don't want to be on the side of death, torture, destruction, and secrecy. Thank you. Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange.
Okay, let's hear it again for Katie Halper. That's fantastic. And next up, we're going to have a presentation for the Raging Grannies, and here's Michelle Aaron.
This song, the lyrics were... Oh,
Randy!
they made it! Woohoo! Alice, would you like to explain?
We're the Raging Grannies, and we're full of rage because of what's happening to Julian, what's happening in Palestine, and what's happening to any semblance of free press. And we're lucky to have some beautiful singers, so I'd like to get on the mic. And this is our old song called Free Julian Assange. Sing along if you can. Does anyone need a song sheet? Ready? Okay, we're ready. You can take the mic. Give us a note. Give us a note.
Okay. Our country isn't free. Where's our humanity? We protest now. Julian Assange was right, brought secret files to light. He's locked up and tortured day and night. Why is this allowed? Our
Julian is so bold, thinks that truth should be told. Is this a crime? Why not let Julian show where our tax dollars go? When we pay for war crimes, we should know. Why is he serving time?
Editor, publisher, WikiLeaks founder, imprisoned and sick. U.S. don't extradite. Time now to do what's right. For press freedom now we all must fight. Free Julian, make it quick.
Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Assange! Now! Free Julian Assange! Now! Free Julian Assange! Now! Free Julian Assange! Now! Free Julian Assange! Now! Free
Let's hear it again from the Raging Rannies. And I'd also like to acknowledge another WBAI programmer who's been here today. Isn't going to speak, but let's hear for him, Michael Stephen Smith. And I also want to thank everybody here for coming today. This is a great turnout considering the short notice and how important it is for us to be here in New York City in support of Julian Assange. And if you haven't yet, and you're not on the mailing list, to your right at the table, please sign and give your information so you can hear about what we're doing next and get a turnout like this. And for those of you who are worried that this might go on too long, I'm here to tell you it's not, because that's it, people. Thank you so much for being here. Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange! 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 Free Julian Assange!
I'd like to get the speakers to come up so we can have a picture with all the speakers together. If you're still here, thank you.
Oh, Margaret. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Good. Only 9 years with the same hairstyle this time. Marilyn. Let me look at my phone right here. Yes, it
Next time, I'll give you my number. Next time you miss, you'll reach me.
All right, Adorno, all right.
I think we have to think that it's already happened right now, because Julian has been imprisoned, tortured, persecuted. Journalists around the world are already self-censoring, not doing their jobs, or so-called journalists. I mean, you have to have maybe a little respect for them being afraid, because this can happen to them. So if we go further and turn him over to the hands of a government that plotted to kill him, that has spied on him secretly and his lawyers, the intimidation is just that much greater. This is about the right to speak power. This is about the right to have truth that we need to speak truth power. Julian spoke about truth. Lies start wars, and truth start peace. We have to think about all the things that the public is not supposed to know, not supposed to get information about. Julian is providing information. We should have a free press providing that information, but mostly we've got a corporately owned media, and it's not providing that information. So what are the things that we're not getting information on? Number one is war, military spending, but there's also all these questions about surveillance. They were when they really got angry with Julian, it was about the release of Vault 7. It was about the fact that your television set can spy on you, or that someone could take over control of your car. They didn't want that information out. They don't want information out about about what's going on.
Hey, Joe Friendly's here.
They don't want information.
Joe Friendly's in the house.
Hey, Chuck, you gotta get those little vignettes.
Bioweapons, the integration of bioweapons.
Oh, I'm sorry. Isn't that part of the program?
That's a story that relates to what's going on in New York.
Out of London.
Are you taking off your shirt with you?
You got my permit, so let everybody else.
Are you guys done with the photos?
We don't know who to look at, but it's okay.
He's got the real good camera over there.
Free press.
John Brown, take it. That it?
Oh, thanks.